The more Hazaras are forced to stay within their own areas, the less they fear they will interact with other communities. In trying to keep them safe, the authorities may be deepening the divisions within the city. Sikandar Kamani, BBC News, Quetta.
It's being called a potential game changer. Scientists say a drug that suppresses the faulty gene behind Huntington's disease has been successfully tested in humans. And it could be the biggest breakthrough in the neurodegenerative diseases for 50 years. Huntington's is incurable and kills most sufferers from within 20 years of diagnosis. There's also a 50% chance that they'll pass the condition on to their children. Earlier, I spoke to Bridget Lyon, who lives in Wellington in New Zealand. She comes from a family of 7 generations affected by the disease. She inherited the gene and told me how it's affecting her life.
Well, I'm still pre-symptomatic, which means I don't have the disease. When you have a test, a predictive test, to find out that you have the gene, which means you're 100% likely to develop the disease. But you can live, say for example, I'm probably going to get the disease quite strongly in about 5 years. But right now I'm just, I have memory problems, anxiety problems, and basically just have to live with the fear of the next generation of my family getting the disease.
And it's been in your family, as we said in our introduction to you, for 7 generations. What kind of impact has that had on your life and your mother's, whose illness you documented for a number of months?
So my mum grew up with her mother having Huntington's disease. So there was a lot of shame around it then, and people thought she was an alcoholic. They didn't understand it at all. Then with my mum, she decided to become an advocate for the disease, to speak out about it and to tell everyone she could about it, because she believed that if people knew more about it, there'd be less shame. So we decided to make the documentary so that the debilitating and horrifying experience of having Huntington's for her was turned into something empowering.
What are your thoughts now when you think about your future and that of the next generation of your family?
Well, we're really not a very hopeful community, the Huntington's community. We usually sit around being told that we're not allowed to be hopeful. Even when there are breakthroughs that there have been in the past, we read up and find out that we're not allowed to be hopeful about this. It's really, you know, potentially not going to work. And also over the last 10 years, anything that they've found out about Huntington's disease has made it more and more complicated and complex, and we've just given up over the years on there being any kind of breakthrough that might affect us. So today we are a bit confused because we're told that we can actually have hope today, which is remarkable and a real, profoundly amazing.
I mean, that was going to be my next question to you. How do you feel about this news that potentially there is now the ability to suppress a faulty gene that causes Huntington's disease?
So myself and the next generation of my family have been on a kind of a race with the new, all the studies and all the scientific inquiry into Huntington's. And we've kind of figured that we would miss out, that we'd all get Huntington's and that we'd get it too early for us to be saved by any kind of treatment or cure. But so the scenario we find ourselves in now is that we could potentially, you know, be helped by this treatment, and it's very hard to get our heads around.
Bridget Lyon there in Wellington, New Zealand, speaking earlier to Babita. You're watching Newsday on the BBC, live from Singapore and London. Still to come on the program. Why Big Brother is doing more than just watching you in China.